Discuss on the topic called function overloading. Here, before getting into function overloading, we need to know the term what is polymorphism. The word polymorphism is derived from the Greek word poly, which means many, and morphis, which means forms. Polymorphism can be defined as the ability to use the same name for two or more functions, but technically the different tasks. For example, woman playing the role as daughter, sister, wife, mother, etc. Next, overloading in C++. What is overloading? Overloading means assigning multiple meanings to a function name or operator symbol. It allows multiple definitions of a function with the same name but different signatures. Some of the types of overloading in C++ are: one is function overloading and second one operator overloading. Why is overloading useful? Function overloading allows functions that conceptually perform the same task on objects of different types to be given the same name. Whereas in operator overloading provides a conventional notation for manipulating user-defined objects with conventional operators. What is function overloading? It is the process of using the same name for two or more functions. It requires each redefinition of a function to use different function signature, that is, first different types of parameters, or sequence of parameters, or a number of parameters. It is used so that the programmer does not have to remember multiple function names. The user can use the same name but with different parameters. Function overloading with an example. Here the two or more functions can have the same name but with different parameters. Here, see, the example is, here I am using the function called max. One is for the integer variable and the second one is for the float variable. In the first example, it uses a two integer variable a and b. It identifies which is the maximum value. The same function max is used for two float values and it identifies which is the highest value. And another program for a function overloading. Here I am using three functions with the same name called sum but with the different parameters. In the first function it uses two integer parameters, and the second one it uses two double parameters, and third one it uses two character parameters. Here the integer values holds a equal to 10 and b equal to 20. The double holds the value c equal to 7.52 and d equal to 8.14, and the character holds e equal to a and f equal to b. Here the function calls sum of a comma b, which means it calls the integer value a and b. And the second function calls c and d, it calls for the function of double. And the third function calls for the character symbol. When the first function calls, it calls for the integer function called sum of integer value 10 plus 20, which will result as 30. And the second function calls for the double, it will shows the 7.52 plus 8.14. And the third function, it is a character which cannot add for, it will present a addition of ASCII value of E and F, or A and B. And this is the output. Sum of integers is 30 and the sum of the two floating value is 15.66, and the sum of the characters, which is the character ASCII equivalent 195 of A plus B. And this is another example program with the function overloading function called area. And this is the steps involved for selecting an function. First, the compiler tries to find the exact match. It can be as the same name for all the function. It has to check with the help of arguments. If the exact match is not found, it has to identify based on the arguments. For example, either it is character, integer, float, or double. If either of them fails, that is, if the argument is not identical, if it cannot identify based on the parameters, then it will just shows a unique message called as error. And this is an example for that. One is the long square of function with a long integer value, and the second same square function with a double parameter. Whenever if it is called with a value called square of 10, where 10 is an integer value, it cannot be called any of these two functions because implicit conversion is not applicable of int to either long or double. Your compiler will just shows the message as error. Thank you.